We're about 24 hours away from the NFL trade deadline, and as it's been reported, the San Francisco 49ers are expected to be active during this period. It's been previously reported that the San Francisco 49ers are looking for edge and cornerback help, and that fits what the San Francisco 49ers perceived needs are at this time, especially after the 49ers have now lost 3 games in a row heading into the bye. Well, we're getting some specifics. The 49ers, according to Benjamin Albright, are showing tons of interest in cornerback Jaylon Johnson with the Bears. Jaylon Johnson is the Bears' star cornerback. He's 24 years old, 6 foot, 196 pounds. He was a second round draft pick, number 50 overall in the 2020 NFL draft out of Utah. And since his time in the league, he has been an ascending player, and he is playing his best ball this season. He has 2 interceptions on the year, and he returned one of those back for a touchdown. He's allowing 42% of the receptions thrown his way, targeted 26 times, and only allowed 11 receptions for 120 yards. He has been pretty darn phenomenal on the season. And as we know, the San Francisco 49ers have seemingly struggled in the cornerback department. Charvarius Ward, Diamador Lenore, Isaiah Oliver, obviously for a multitude of different reasons, but they are seeing some struggles at the position. So the 49ers could absolutely turn the page and look to add a high caliber player. And the thing is, with potentially trading for Jaylon Johnson, you're trading for a guy that you're going to have to pay. So you have to get prepared for that. I know he wants to get paid. You see him after he gets interceptions, celebrations. He's gesturing to get paid. So the expectation is that you're giving up draft compensation likely to go get Jaylon Johnson, but you're also going to have to pay him as one of the top cornerbacks in the league. Now, I don't think fans will have too much of an issue with that, especially with the fact that the 49ers are leading in the NFL right now in cap space. You could theoretically front load a deal to absorb some of that cap, or you could push it out over multiple years. So there's a way to get this done. I think the question becomes, what is the compensation that the 49ers would need to give up to go out and get Jaylon Johnson? Just based on how I'm looking at it, based on kind of seeing how he's played this year, he missed a couple games. He's played in 6 games this season. I see a cornerback that is playing as potentially top 5, top 10 in the NFL this season. So I would assume that the money would be in that range and the compensation would have to match. So considering that he is currently tied for third in coverage grade according to PFF amongst cornerbacks that have over 100 snaps. He's playing really well. The metrics are aligning with that. So, what is the compensation that you would need to give up? I'm assuming, considering that the Bears are likely headed for a do you call it a retool or rebuild? They're kind of in this rebuild process. They might go out and get a new quarterback. They might go get Marvin Harrison Jr. in the draft with the 2 high picks that they have, but maybe they can add a late first with the San Francisco 49ers. And hey, one of the positive things I think to take away from the 49ers being 5-3, it makes their draft picks a little bit more valuable than perceived a couple weeks ago when they hadn't had a loss. So in those trade negotiations, you can make the case that the 49ers will be picking in the 20s now and not the 30s. So that makes your draft pick in the first round a little bit more valuable. So maybe that would be enough. Maybe you could trade your 2024 first rounder for Jaylon Johnson. Maybe you could throw a mid-level player in there. It would be interesting to see what it would take for the 49ers to get a player of Jaylon Johnson's caliber away from the Bears. But that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I'm thinking if you get a late first for this guy, again, he was a second round draft pick, number 50 overall. So he wasn't that far out of being a first rounder. He's obviously played above his draft status. So I think that's fair, especially for a player that the 49ers are going to have to sign and pay a big payday to. So you could, I think you could make the case for a late first, maybe a second and a third, and some additional compensation. I think the 49ers could get creative here, but it does sound like there is a bit of a bidding war potentially for this player. Because Benjamin Albright is reporting that there are multiple teams that are interested in trading for Jaylon Johnson. So, as a result, that could hike the price up a little bit if you get into a bidding war with other teams. From the teams that are being reported currently, are teams that are looking to win now. Obviously, those are going to be the teams that are going to be buyers. So the 49ers, as reported right now, the Cowboys are looking for potentially trading for Jaylon Johnson, as well as the Bills. Obviously, the Cowboys pose the biggest threat because they are in the NFC. Obviously, we know the 49ers handled the Cowboys very well. But again, part of this trade deadline situation is also it's making your team better, but it's also limiting other teams from getting better that might have uh, competition of playoff seeding, all these different types of things. So, like, there's a chance that the 49ers see the Dallas Cowboys again in the playoffs. So, I think it would be better suited to have Jaylon Johnson on your roster opposed to having him on the Cowboys roster, right? Makes a lot of sense. So, it's going to get heated up here in the next 24 hours. There might be some moves that are made today, but I would imagine we'll get a lot of movement tomorrow. It feels like this is going to be an active trade deadline situation for the league and specifically for the 49ers, but it remains to be seen. And it's not just cornerback that the 49ers, like we've discussed, are after. It's potentially edge. Montez Sweat, Chase Young are at the top of the list of potential edge players that could be moved. I think I could speak for all 49er fans when I say I think this fan base wants to see this team make some moves. Obviously, the 0-3 skid heading into the bye week doesn't build a ton of confidence. But if the 49er faithful could see that the franchise understands that they have some issues, go out and attack these issues, understanding that the window to win is right now, that we can get beyond some of these picks. We have 11 draft picks next year. Honestly, we know what the saying is. F them picks. That's kind of what the vibe is right now because there's a sense of urgency to win now. So, yeah, picks are great, but right now it doesn't really matter. Right now, the 49ers need to win and they need to get out of this bye and get back on track. And if you can add some key players at the cornerback position, at the defensive end position, I think you have to go and do it. And even if you have to pay a premium for these players, we understand what it is. The 49er faithful can forgive moves that are made right now to win now, even if theoretically they don't pan out. But what we can see is the effort to go and make the move. We saw what Christian McCaffrey and that trade injected energy into the franchise, into the fan base, and they went on a winning streak. Obviously, it might be hard to find an impact player as big as McCaffrey, but if you can get a cornerback, if you can get an edge, you can instantly upgrade the defense, which has been struggling mightily. And I do think the 49ers need to do that. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Should the 49ers go all in on Jaylon Johnson? What other players do you think the San Francisco 49ers should go after at the trade deadline? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.